Good evening. My name is Ricky Rivas, and I am a senior at Bladensburg High School. I have participated in AFJROTC since my 9th grade year and now hold the position of Chief Master Sergeant for the 2014 through 2015 school year. I have been involved in Student Government Association at Bladensburg High School since the 9th grade and now hold the position of Vice President. I am currently in the nursing program and very interested in pursuing a career in medicine and joining the armed forces. During my years at Bladensburg, I have participated in volleyball, basketball, softball, unified softball, and golf, while maintaining a GPA of a 3.5. I enjoy giving back to Prince George's County by participating in many community service events held throughout. I'm a nominee of my principal, Ms. Mahoney. I'm a proud senior of Bladensburg High School, and I'm ready for college. Now I want to welcome you to the October 23rd, 2014 Prince George's County Board of Education System Oversight Meeting. Highlights this evening will include a System Oversight Human Resources presentation. Please continue to check www.pgcps.org for upcoming Board of Education meetings and events. And now the October 23rd, 2014 System Oversight Meeting will begin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Good evening and welcome to the October 23rd, 2014 Systems Oversight Meeting of the Prince George's County Board of Education. This evening, we will be discussing human resources. Thank you so much for joining us for this incredibly important discussion. Before we begin, as usual, I'd like to ask folks to turn off their wireless communication devices or put them on vibrate. Colleagues, we have started a little late this evening. Let me offer my apologies on behalf of the board. The extent of the important issues that we discuss seem to know no bounds. We tried to get through them as rapidly as we can. Trust us when we tell you we'd rather be out here with you than back there in that back room. So we're glad to be here. Thank you so much for your patience. Colleagues, how about another round of applause for Ricky Rivas, 12th grade student at Bladensburg High School. You know, often when we're in the back room and we're focusing on so many of the issues that we're focusing on as adults, we forget to focus on what really matters. And when we hear the voices of our students, when we go to the schools and we visit them, when we see their faces and when we see their accomplishments, it helps us to understand what this is really about. And we, as a Board of Education, never lose focus of it, as I know none of you do. So thank you, Ms. Rivas, for giving us yet another reminder. And at that, let's get started. And I will ask Mr. Taylor to please lead the board prayer and Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow your heads. O God, we pray, to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, steer us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor. Mrs. Parker, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Dr. Anderson, Mr. Burrows, Ms. Epps.
Good evening.
Ms. Eubanks.
Here.
Ms. Higgins. Ms. Jacobs. Dr. Kaufman. Here. Ms. Mundy.
Present.
Mr. Valentine.
Here.
Ms. Waller.
Present.
Ms. Williams. Mr. Taylor,
Present.
Ms. Boston. Present. Dr. Eubanks.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. And colleagues, may I please have a motion to adopt the October 23rd, 2014 System Oversight Meeting Agenda?
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. We have adopted the agenda. Colleagues, may I have a motion to approve the October 9, 2014 board meeting minutes?
So moved.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Okay, no one opposed. We have approved the minutes. We have no comments. Anyone want to move our non-agenda items? Okay, we have no public speaker comments and no legislative agenda. I should mention, folks, that on System Oversight Evening, neither Dr. Maxwell nor myself have the opportunity to spend a whole bunch of time on our chairs or CEO reports. Most of the time, you guys, I'm sure, appreciate that. I just mentioned I want to everyone come back next time because Dr. Maxwell and I and Ms. Waller and Ms. Higgins had an opportunity to attend the Prince George's County School Psychologist Association event last week that was just an outstanding and unbelievable display of talent, of skill, and of commitment of the tremendous school psychologists who work in our schools every day. I'm going to talk more about them. This is only a preview because I was just blown away by how far beyond that image of the psychologist sitting in the office counseling a kid who's in trouble or laying someone on the couch. The jobs that they do are just unbelievable, and I'm going to talk more about them when I do a real presentation, but that was just a preview. So even better than me and Dr. Maxwell talking about our exploits, we're going to get right into our systems oversight agenda this evening, and I will yield the floor to Dr. Maxwell for an introduction of discussion item 5.1, human resources.
Thank you, Dr. Eubanks. We're going to, this evening, our system oversight discussion item will include an overview of the Division of Human Resources. Mr. Robert Gaskin, Chief of Human Resources, and his staff will provide the overview. I'll turn it over to Mr. Gaskin now, and he can take it from there.
Thank you, Dr. Maxwell. Good evening, board chair, board members, Dr. Maxwell, and guests. As most of you know, my name is Robert Gaskin, Chief of Human Resources in Prince George's County Public Schools. And tonight, I'm excited to deliver the Division's oversight presentation. At the heart of every great organization are great people. For Prince George's County Public Schools, this is our 125,000 students and the 26,000 employees who serve them and ensure we reach our goal, one goal, outstanding academic achievement for all our students. So I'm happy this evening to share our story. This time last year, I was recently appointed as the divisional chief. I shared with you my back-to-basics approach to transform our services. Since that time, we have transformed. At this time, I would like for all the divisional members to stand and be recognized. This is our talented team focused on transforming and optimizing all HR services. One team, one goal, outstanding academic achievements for all students. These 4 departments are the foundation of the division. The key is that for us to be great by choice, each department must collaborate and align services to ensure we recruit, hire, support, and retain a great workforce to meet the needs of our staff and students. Human Resources has been the focus of a number of audits and the CEO's transition plan. As a result, we reorganized effective July 1, 2014. Working collaboratively with our 3-year partner, Urban Schools Human Capital Academy, we were able to accomplish the beginning of our transformation. I would like to recognize Mr. Craig Chen, Senior Partner with the Urban Schools Human Capital, who's with us tonight, and I would like to publicly thank him and his team for their guidance and support throughout the reorganization. Mr. Chen, please stand and be recognized. Prince George's County Schools, Public Schools was honored to be selected as one of the 10 districts to participate originally in the first urban school cohort. The result of our reorganization have better positioned our team to build and support a high-performing workforce and focus our efforts to optimize recruitment, retention, and hiring practices. So what is our story? Our story is about our staff, our custodians, our office support staff, food service workers, nurses, our bus drivers, and our teachers and administrators. It is about all of our employees who support educating our students. It's about the selection, placement, and support of our staff. I would like at this time to share one instance of the 2,000+ new employees hired this school year. I'd like to present Miss Sierra Williams.
Learning subtraction in Sierra Williams' class is never just about the numbers. For when she gives her first graders bits of cereal to eat to show how everything really adds up, she has them learning and eating right out of her hand at the same time.
5 minus 2 equals what? 3.
For this first-year teacher, who is a Prince Georgian through and through, having attended schools from the former Henry Ferguson Elementary right on through Gwynn Park High School, coming back from Spelman College to teach in her hometown and not pursuing her original dream of becoming a biomedical engineer is both a triumph of recruitment and a tribute to all those Prince George's educators, like her former elementary school teacher, who made an impression on Sierra all along the way.
And so I said to her, I said, what changed your mind? And she says, you know, Mom, she says, I went to a daycare down in Atlanta where she was in school and worked with help kids out there. She says, and I just fell in love with the little ones. And I think that's where I need to be, is to help these little kids the way you helped me.
Support that I had from elementary all the way to high school and even to college, the support never stopped with my teachers, with my counselors, everyone. Even when I worked this past summer with HR, the support just never stops, and that's why I love Prince George's so much.
With recommendations aplenty, Human Resources pulled out all the stops to recruit Sierra.
Debbie Sullivan invited her in on a Saturday morning, and we knew we had her keeper. She's engaging. As you can see, she's very engaging with the children, but she is engaging with people. And those of us who do education as our life work, the way we get people to do this work is to let somebody who's doing this work recruit for us and also engage with those people who may be thinking about doing it.
It's more than I expected. I remember my first day, Miss Vanessa Bass, she emailed me, hope everything's going well.
Sierra is the very model of the kind of teacher Prince George's County wants. Confident, inquisitive, and possessed of a passion for children that is magnified by her hometown connection.
Why were you having a good time?
Because we did a fun activity.
What did you do?
We pretend we had plates and we was eating cereal.
Oh, did the cereal taste good?
Yes.
What did you learn from eating the cereal?
Adding and minus.
Being from here and loving the county and loving how we have so many resources, whether it's in the district or since we're right in the area of the metropolitan area, it's a beautiful place to be, beautiful people, and I just love home. I really do. I don't have anything bad to say it. Everything has time to progress and improve, and that's what we're all about. Being great by choice.
Learning subtraction in Sierra Williams' class is never just...
We have Sierra and her parents. We like to recognize them. Sierra? Please stand. So, that's exciting to have one of our own who graduated from the Prince George's County Public Schools to come back to Prince George's County. She's one of over 127 new teachers back in our school district. So we're very proud of her and proud of her joining the school system for the 2014 school year. Her experience joining the school system is the story I plan for everyone hired by Prince George's County Public Schools. She represents great by choice in action. To share how this happens, I would like to introduce Mr. Theo Kramer, Executive Director, followed by Division Directors who will share greater detail about our work. Mr. Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Gaskin, and congratulations, Sierra. We are so proud of you. Because of the reorganization, we have expanded recruitment strategies in targeted areas. We are working to improve customer service and to increase direct support to schools. We continue to identify, refine, and implement human resources best practices to improve the service delivery and to support the overall workforce. We are working to ensure that there is a high-performing workforce to achieve our goal of outstanding academic achievement for all students. We are also working to improve the culture by optimizing the recruitment, retention, and hiring processes. Our services and support to our schools have been areas we have identified for continuous improvement. The improvement in timely responses to all concerns from schools, community members, and prospective employees is a priority for the division. The division is here as a resource for the community, specifically for administrators, teachers, support staff, parents, and other stakeholders to immediately address their concerns and needs in an attentive, respectful, and responsive manner. Further, in our attempt and ongoing effort to improve communication, we have implemented a staff portal. The new staff portal page has been designed to be a single point of entry for any sites, resources, or links a school system employee might need. The benefits are that it will make communication much easier. Finally, the active collaboration with all divisions is enabling the Division of Human Resources the opportunity to build appropriate human capital strategies. Next, I would like to introduce my colleague, Mrs. Deborah Sullivan, the Director of Human Resources Strategy and Workforce Planning. Mrs. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer, and good evening, everyone. Human Resources Strategy and Workforce Planning is a newly organized department within the division. However, the umbrella of services we provide are not new. Collectively, we support all of our great employees, like Sierra, through our core services of finding talent, growing and supporting talent, and retaining our talented employees in all positions. Our team's work and the programs they shepherd focus directly on creating and sustaining a high-performing workforce who will ensure all of our students achieve academic success. We literally wrap our arms around our workforce from the beginning of their employment journey through all the work it takes to keep high performers working in Prince George's County Public Schools. Our recruitment and retention team scours the United States building talent pipelines that also include 4 resident teacher programs that in every position, just to make sure we have an engaged, committed employee just like Sierra. Compensation and classification ensures that all of our employees receive accurate and timely compensation and have accurate position descriptions that reflect the critical work they perform each and every day on behalf of our students. Data quality is a critical pillar in human resources when it comes to accurately understanding and assessing our workforce, using data to drive critical functions like workforce projections and payroll. And finally, our Employee Services Center is a one-stop triage support center for applicants and employees, which includes new employee orientation and the background unit, all very critical services that shape a new hire's impression and experience as an employee in the system. Our accomplishments this past hiring season include sourcing a huge talent pool full of Sierras to fill instructional vacancies. We increased our workforce diversity by hiring in our 2014 cohort of over 1,100 teachers, 1/3 of whom were male. We also, thank you, absolutely. We also fully implemented the only STEM resident teacher program in the state of Maryland with the support of the Maryland State Department of Education. As a best practice, our efforts focused on ensuring that fantastic new hires like Sierra benefited from best fit placements. This was supported by the creation of a resume portal and implementing our teacher ambassador program. The portal provided principals with easy, real-time access to available pre-screened candidates ready to join our school system. Our candidates were pre-screened by our teacher ambassadors and our curriculum and instruction supervisors. This provided them with the opportunity to talk with veteran teachers here in Prince George's who were able to share what it's like to teach in our system. These efforts made it possible to quickly seal the deal for candidates and administrators. It also ensured that great teachers like Sierra are in place for all of our students. And now for a natural transition, since my department kind of puts our arms around the workforce, I'd like to transition to my colleague, Dr. Sharon Cradle, the Director of Human Resources Operations and Staffing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Good evening. Again, my name is Sharon Cradle, and I am the Director of Operations and Staffing. I am responsible for providing leadership, strategic direction, and guidance for the day-to-day operations for the certification, records management and verification, and staffing offices that serves approximately 26,000 employees. The work in all of these areas is extremely important because it directly impacts the district's goal of outstanding academic achievement for all students. The Operations and Staffing Department, which comprises of 42 staff members, was responsible for effectively staffing 208 schools and the numerous departments throughout the system. At Barack Obama, where Sierra is employed, we established a partnership with the principal to identify the best matches for her vacancies. This same type of partnership exists with all of our principals. The entire department helped to support Sierra as a new hire by ensuring that she met all of the certification requirements necessary to be placed on the proper salary scale before the first day of employment, and collected and filed all documents to begin capturing all of her data for her personnel file. Sierra is a high-quality teacher, not only for her school, but for the system, which contributes to meeting the goal of outstanding academic achievement for all students. Sierra is a great reflection of our future educators and leaders. As we continue to staff our schools, Sierra can serve as an asset to helping us attract high-quality teachers because she understands what the ideal candidate looks like for Prince George's County Public Schools. Finally, as a benefit of the reorganization, we restructured the staffing teams to increase service and support to all of our partners so that we can continue to improve customer service and communication. We are great by choice. Now, I would like to yield this portion of the presentation to Mr. William Ryan. He is the Executive Director of Employee Performance and Evaluation, which is another important arm of the division. Mr. Ryan.
Thank you. Good evening. The Office of Employee Performance and Evaluation supports employees like Sierra in their professional growth through an effective evaluation system. We provide her with the resources and training needed so that the feedback she receives during the evaluation process will help improve her instruction and ultimately prepare her students to be college and career ready. Our office is also responsible for the development and implementation of our new Peer Assistance and Review program that provides supports to new teachers like Sierra. The accomplishments of our department this year include: we fully implemented our new teacher and principal evaluation system-wide and successfully produced over 9,000 final evaluations that provided teachers like Sierra with important information about their professional practice and the growth of their students. During August and September of this year, we developed a new online system-wide evaluation program called TeachGate. In collaboration with the Office of Talent Development, training was provided to support Sierra and her colleagues as they transition to this new system. This past summer, we also collaborated with the Department of Curriculum Instruction to create additional supports for Sierra, which she needs as she develops her student learning objectives this year. These supports included a student learning objective handbook, student learning objective guidance videos, and a streamlined student learning objective template. And finally, as I discussed with you at the last board meeting, we have established a peer assistance and review program to support teachers like Sierra if needed. Looking ahead, we are working hard to update our executive evaluations and the Local 2250 and Local 400 evaluations. In addition, we are putting all of our evaluations online and providing the supports needed to use these online tools. Finally, in collaboration with the Technology Department, we're in the planning stages of creating an evaluation data dashboard that will be used by leadership and individual staff to identify professional development needs. In the end, Prince George's County will be great by choice because of a high-performing workforce that is supported by an evaluation system that allows teachers, including Sierra, to continue to grow professionally. At this time, I would like to introduce to you the Director of Employee and Labor Relations, Ms. Melissa Williams.
Good evening. The Employee and Labor Relations Office is primarily responsible for negotiating collective bargaining agreements on behalf of the board, which includes implementation and training. Another critical area is employee discipline, specifically ensuring that corrective or disciplinary action is carried out in accordance with Maryland law and the collective bargaining agreements. Our office is also responsible for resolving claims of employment discrimination, as well as respond to and provide accommodations for claims based upon disabilities. Our ultimate goal is to ensure that our current employees are performing at their highest level in order to serve the students of Prince George's County in achieving academic excellence. The Employee and Labor Relations Office consists of labor relations advisors and an EEO advisor, as well as support staff. Each advisor is responsible for contract administration for a specific union. Some of the accomplishments for employee and labor relations is, for the first time in over 17 years, we completed negotiations of all 5 collective bargaining agreements. 3 of those agreements were negotiated for a 2-year period. Sierra is a beneficiary of the great results achieved for our educators through negotiations. She will receive an excellent salary and benefits package. She will also receive support from the Office of Evaluation and Performance through online training programs and support from the newly formed PAR if necessary. Labor Relations is also responsible for making recommendations to the CEO from the work resulting from PAR. Other accomplishments include: we hired a new team with a background in human resources and labor relations. With the new team, we've reduced the backlog of personnel in temporary placement pending disciplinary action. We've also resolved a number of grievances that were on course for arbitration. Additionally, we've created 2 new administrative procedures, one for temporary placement and the other for progressive discipline. An exciting new position in labor relations is that of the EEO advisor. We have an experienced attorney in that position who has resolved many EEO claims since beginning in July 2014. She's also handling requests for our employees who've requested reasonable accommodations. Another exciting accomplishment of that position is that she's our Title IX coordinator. Title IX forbids discrimination under any education program which receives federal financial assistance. So what's next for labor relations? Well, we have upcoming negotiations for two of the unions, which would be SEIU, Service Employees International Union, as well as ACE-ASME Local 2250. We're also developing training programs for management on the new administrative procedures, progressive discipline, and temporary placements, as well as educating managers and union members on the equal employment opportunity laws. At this time, I'd like to turn it back over to our chief, Mr. Gaskin.
You see why I'm excited? The division has begun to realize improvements in such a short period of time. However, we realize our work continues until each of our customers can share Sierra's story. Thank you, team, for your work to date and for the work you continue to do for the Human Resources Division. Our division will continue to improve with communication, customer service, and information technology. It has been a pleasure to provide you with the oversight presentation this evening. And this is how we are on the path of becoming great by choice for our students and our staff. And this is what matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for that presentation. We are, obviously, you've given us quite a bit, and we have quite a few questions for you, I'm sure. Here is what we have on our speaking list so far. I have Ms. Boston, I have Ms. Mundy, I have Dr. Kaufman, I have myself, I have Mr. Valentine, and other people can buzz in as we move along. Mr. Taylor's up after that. So let's start with Ms. Boston.
How you doing, Mr. Gaskins? Thank you, and thank you for your team for putting together your presentation. It was great. It's good to hear about the exciting new changes that's going on in human resources. One of the questions that I have, some of it seemed a little bit more of an outline on what some of your departments are planning, you know, just more of an outline. I want to know, what plans or what strategic plans are you putting in place for your customer service? Can you explain to me a little bit more around your customer service, how you plan on training staff, or if that's your department, how we're going to get that training to our staff as far as customer service is concerned, because that's one of the things that we hear from constituents about customer service. And the other one is around the communication piece. Can you give me a little bit more on how you plan on rolling out training or, you know, the process around those two things?
Yes, ma'am. We have already begun the process. And let's talk about customer service for a few minutes. Customer service is an area, first of all, everyone is our customer, whether it's the principal, whether it's a client as far as applicant, or whether it's a board member. So the goal for customer service is to be able to treat everyone the same with appropriate being able to answer and get back to individuals. So one of three things that we are planning to do: training, training, and training. So we have, again, the urban school program here, the urban school society. So what they're going to do is work with us as we go through a rigorous training process through each department so that we can increase and have some standards for customer service as it relates to how do we respond to individuals, whether we know the answer or not, get back to people in a timely manner. And I think, you know, we just need to take some time to work through that. So we're going to be doing that by departments. We've had a mini retreat as far as the senior staff. So we have outlined some items and outlined some things that we're going to be doing throughout the year. So it's going to take us a while, but customer service and communication is very important. You heard about the portal, so that individuals will have a way to get back, at least the applicants will have a way to get back with us quickly. So that's an area that we know we have to improve in the district. We want to improve our website. We want to improve on all of our literature. We want to improve in when we go out to the various universities, we are saying the same thing in reference to our communication and our needs, and to be great by choice, and to be a choice that a system that individuals like Sierra would like to come to.
Thank you. I think we're on our way to be great by choice, and I think human resources is the first start. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mundy.
Thank you, Dr.
You're welcome.
Eubanks. Hi, Mr. Gaskins. How are you?
Fine.
I want
How
to
you
first
doing?
give greetings to our superstar teacher, Miss Sierra Williams. How are you? At Barack Obama Elementary, one of my favorite schools. I see Miss Doster in the back. Hi. Please let Miss Ashworth, I said hello. I want to first start with a short story that I read, and I love this story, and it's really short, and it talks about President Kennedy visiting Nassau Space Center in 1962, and he sees a gentleman with the broom, and he asks the man with the broom, he said, "Hi, I'm President Jack Kennedy, how are you? What are you doing?" And the man said, "I am putting a man on the moon." And he was just a janitor, but he understood that him being a janitor was a bigger part of something bigger than himself. Just cleaning that building, he was contributing to something bigger. I say that, and I love that story because we talked a lot through this presentation about teachers, and we're all trying to be great by choice. But I'm a firm believer that our students' academic achievements start before they even enter the building, with their bus ride to the building, to the greeter at the beginning of the day at the front desk, to their, if they have toilet paper in the the building maintenance, basically toilet paper or paper towels. So could you just give some information about the recruiting efforts and the support services of the buildings, of the schools, the bus drivers, food service workers, things like that?
So, number one, I know we talk a lot about our teachers in the classroom because they face the students on a day-by-day basis.
Yes.
But everyone is equally important as we are trying to attract the best in our district. So we have had and continue to have various career fairs in those particular areas. We had a very successful bus driver fair. We've had several activities around our food services. And what we do to attract individuals, first of all, we inform them through our postings that we do have positions that's available, and they will apply. And then what we do is screen, pre-screen, and try to get the best of what we can out there. The word of mouth, when they, we do a lot of advertising, thanks to our communications office, and getting individuals in those particular positions. This year, we were very fortunate. You didn't hear that we had a need or a shortage for bus drivers because we did a lot of work in the spring and over the summer. You didn't hear that we had a need for food services workers. So we did a lot of work last spring to try to get an adequate pool. And we not only have an adequate pool in both of those areas, we have an adequate sub-pool so that when individuals decide that they don't want to continue to work or they get promoted, we do have a large sub-pool. And we didn't have that before. So we have individuals in that area. And of course, the areas, the nurses. I remember last year we had 25, 30 vacancies in nurses. And where we are right now, you get the weekly reports, we have 11 nurses vacancies at this point. So we've been working and trying to get our vacancies down by advertising our compensation for nurses and the compensation packages that was passed this summer has helped us a great deal. Now, our job is to retain them. We want to spend as much time on retention as we do to attract them in our school district. So we work very hard in all of the areas, in our secretaries and our building supervisors, in all areas to try to make sure we have an adequate pool. And when I mean adequate, not just anyone. We want to make sure as we do our pre-screening that they do have the commitment to work for our school district, and they come with the skills, the knowledge, and ability to perform their tasks.
Just one follow-up question, and I think this goes back to Ms. Boston's question about customer service and training, and I'm assuming that also applies of rigorous customer training, customer
all
service
across
training,
the board.
Across the board. Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Dr. Kaufman.
Hi, good evening. I was actually going to tell a story very similar to Ms. Mundy's that my family and I were in Disney World a couple years ago, and we were just blown away at how empowered the employees are there to any employee, including a custodian who walked up to us when we looked like we were lost, to really address our needs and help us figure out where we wanted to go. And it would be great if we could take a little of that sort of Disney World magic and apply it here, obviously without the long lines and sometimes annoying background music. But I think we have a lot to learn from how other organizations and companies have put in a real culture of customer service, and hopefully we're factoring that into our hiring and training process. I did have a couple questions about recruitment again. You talked in the presentation about STEM teachers and male teachers and a few other, I know, hard-to-staff areas. Can you talk a little bit, and I know it's a big subject, but about what we're doing to really aggressively recruit some other hard-to-find teachers in areas like foreign languages, special education, ESOL. I know it's a really competitive market out there, and every other school district is trying to find those folks as well. So what kind of creative or aggressive strategies are we doing? And then also, in terms of teacher prep programs, there's been a lot of criticism of how a lot of teacher prep programs are preparing teachers, and mainly in two areas. One is their classroom management skills, and the other is in their subject area knowledge. So how are we ensuring that the hiring process, and as well as where we're looking for those potential employees, is making sure that we're bringing in teachers with the best training possible before they step in the door?
So I could talk about recruitment the rest of the night, but I'm going to yield to my director of recruitment so that she can respond to a lot of those. But we are doing some creative things in recruitment. We have the majority in the state of Maryland, we have more resident teachers, alternative teacher programs that we have been recognized for. And those are for individuals that want to be teachers. They didn't go to school to become a teacher, but they want to give back. And that's a program that we have been approved, that they go through an internship, a training, and that they go through mentoring for the first 2 years so that they can be a master teacher. So we reach out to not just the education majors, but when we go out on the road, we are really striving for everybody that we think that would be a good match for Prince George's. But Ms. Sullivan?
Yeah, let Ms. Sullivan.
Ms. Sullivan,
you just said you
come
would
up.
talk all day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the question. First and foremost, I would say as a benefit of the reorganization, we were able to expand our recruitment team. So we now have an individual who is specifically targeting diversity recruitment with a lens on increasing our Latino and bilingual teachers. We have a recruitment partner, and they have actually scoured and started making connections with universities and colleges across the nation, specifically targeting things like bilingual education training programs, Montessori programs, immersion language programs. And so we partner with those universities. We work collaboratively with the Office of Talent Development because we know that there are critical shortages in special ed and languages across the nation. So first and foremost, our goal is to make sure we're tapped in and linked to programs that are producing those types of candidates in critical subject areas through the traditional route. As Mr. Gaskin said earlier, we have expanded our resident teacher programs to include STEM, and this year, in 2015, we will onboard our first Montessori elementary cohort in the resident teacher program. Thanks to Montessori and Mr. Anthony's team, who will be supporting them as mentors. So we know that we are in a highly competitive market, so we have to cast a very wide net to ensure that we have enough candidates to trickle down for those best fit placements. So at the end of the day, this team just starts in July recruiting for 2015. We will employ all kinds of strategies to include face-to-face, a lot of on-time, FaceTime at universities and colleges just to build the pipeline. So we start talking to individuals as a freshman and sophomore. Once they indicate that they're interested in education, we start talking with them because we want to build our pipeline early so in 2016 and 17 we have teachers ready to step in. So it's not just recruiting for 2015, it's building that entire program and strategy to ensure that we have the teachers we need. The second big tenet of our work is partnering with Office of Talent Development and communicating, particularly with our Maryland schools, colleges and universities, to ensure they understand what the needs are in Prince George's County. For instance, we need a lot of dually certified special education teachers. That means they're certified in special ed and they're also certified in a content area. Very few colleges and universities have that program. So we're always at the College of Notre Dame, because they partner with us in our resident teacher program, but they also have a program there. So we do have strategies in place to build that pipeline to ensure that we're able to fill positions.
Thank you, very helpful.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. I'm next.
Okay.
But don't worry, Ms. Sullivan. Actually, the first question I want to ask is of Sierra Williams.
Hello.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm well.
Good. Ms. Williams, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No,
but
it's fine.
You're a Spelman grad. You can
I had a
handle it.
feeling you were going to.
Spelman grad, you can handle it. Ms. Williams, so we heard about what a great job it is for you to be here as a new teacher and to join us. We know we recruited you.
Right.
10 years from now, when I'm old and retired, what's it going to take to make sure that you're standing right here, still the great leader that you are?
Wow. All right, 10 years from now, I'll be around 32.
You're gonna be old, man, old.
Wow. I'm always thinking about the future in education. I know definitely I want to stay in education, and I want to progress from outside of the classroom, because I feel like even with your position, I want to make a huge difference. Like I know I'm making a huge difference in the classroom.
One of these chairs right here for you?
I don't know, I'm not sure. But I just know that I want to definitely stay in education. And with my experience so far, every day I'm learning 1,000 things, I'm making 1,000 mistakes, and I learn 1,000 more. So I know that it's going to be a journey. I know I'm willing to learn all that I can about education and being an educator. So right now I could say that I know 10 years from now I will definitely still be in the business.
Thank you. Thank you. In the business right here, right? In Prince George's County, right? Okay.
In Prince George's.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you. All right. Mr. Gaskin, you can come on up. This is for you. You didn't get off the hook that easy. All right.
You did say we were friends, right?
Yeah, I said that. You know, you're gonna tell me later, but that means I can talk to you real though. Right? You know that.
Yes, sir.
So, number one, I really do appreciate the great work that you do, and one of the things I want to kind of challenge you on. I have a number of things here. Some of these questions maybe we can kind of agree that it's some things that we can do some follow up on because some of them are specific. But what I think that the presentation did was it absolutely convinced me of the great people that we have. There is absolutely no question that we have. I want to be more convinced of the great systems that we have. And for that, I want, love to see more data and more explicit information. So let me lay out a few examples. Maybe some of them you can get here, some of them you can't. Actually, we started to get deeper in some of the questions and answers. So we did this reorg. It was important, it was controversial, but it was needed. What I want to see is some detail. When I look at when I look at our organizational structure, I want to know what explicitly is different from this organizational structure than was before, and why. What problems were we trying to address with this with this structural change, and how do we think that this structure addressed those problems? So things like that, I would love to see more of. I want to see and hear a lot more data. I think Carolyn talked about that. You started to talk about that. What did we do to decrease the nursing vacancies, and what did that look like? How did we get, Ms. Sullivan talked about having more people and staff to do recruitment. That's the kind of stuff that I'd like to see a lot more data with. I want to know and hear a lot about not just customer service, but some of the old problems that everyone talks about, right? People apply to our system every day and then they never hear from us. What have we done explicitly to kind of address those issues? So I'm actually kind of just throwing all this out because it's a lot. I don't even want you to attempt to answer all of these things now, but just the idea to kind of go back, I would love to get more of that kind of meat that I've started hearing and being very excited about in the answers that we have now. And I'll just use up the rest of my 30 seconds that I have left on a couple of things. My big thing is about employee and labor relations. I would love to see the concept of that expanded beyond just bargaining contracts and really getting into deeper labor collaborations. We're doing it. I want to hear it more about growing from bargaining with our employees to collaborating to solve problems with our employees, and obviously things like par and better exception. I just would want to hear. I want to hear more about that. I want to see. I love the fact that we have things like the resident teacher program and we have Teach for America, but I want to see data about that. I know that these folks often don't have the same kind of training that other folks have. Are they being disproportionately placed in our lowest performing schools and with our most troubled kids? What are we doing to ensure that we're really giving the kids who need the most our most talented teachers, and that we're not allowing teachers in training to learn with our most vulnerable kids? That kind of data I want to see. So I'm going to stop there because this is that we're writing stuff down. You don't have to answer any of this stuff except to say yes, we get it. But I'll be looking for that 25-page single-spaced report. No.
Yes, sir.
Double space. Yeah, okay. Double space is reasonable. But if you could answer broadly for any of that, then you can, but no pressure.
So we can provide the data in regards to a lot of the information that you requested and why we did what we did as far as the reorg. But this time last year, we were talking about poor customer service, lack of communication, audit findings. Also, we had the regular findings that the CEO had in regards to the transition plan. We were all in it. So we couldn't continue to be on that road. So we did make some changes, and it's going to be a process. We did a reorg. We also hired almost 2,000 people at the end also within the reorg. So we feel that we're on the right path. We feel as though, we have the right fit as far as individuals in the district or in the department. And as far as some of the data that you are requesting, we can provide that around the alternative teaching programs, around what's different today versus what was here last year. So we can provide a lot of that information to you.
Great, thank you. I agree. You're heading the right track. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. Mr. Valentine.
Thank you very much. As you could tell from my my movements, I was very impressed and happy to hear about the increase in number of male educators. This is something as a former educator myself in the system, and someone who was came to the system as an alternative certification candidate. This is something I'm very passionate about, and thank you for your office working with me on that. The first question I have is, what do you attribute the increase in the number of male educators to? Is something that you all can tie anything directly to anything you all did, any particular school or partnership which you created in the last year that can be attributed to this increase? You also talked about the portal, and the question is, do you have a mechanism with that portal to receive feedback from folks who may have not had a good experience with it, and opportunities for people to give you constructive criticism about the tool? Because if you don't have it, they're going to come to us about it, and we'd rather you be able to have that more timely, and for you to be able to aggregate that and to determine whether it's sort of a one-off issue or one that's more systematic. And lastly, I'll just say, through the Male Educator Network, which was created here, I think we've seen that, particularly to Dr. Eubanks' point, teachers who have left have said that support in the classroom has and was a contributing factor for them leaving, and those who stayed have said having the support from a school leader, from a mentor teacher, has been incredibly important. Also, the ability to move up through the system. So the question is, can you talk a little bit more about sort of the mentoring piece, and then also how you all are giving opportunities to those who want to move out of the classroom, as my Spelman sister, Sierra, mentioned, how you introduce teachers to introduce outside programs like a administration program or other programs to teachers to be thinking about that as early as their first or second year in the classroom.
So Mr. Valentine, before I let Bob answer some of that, let me first say he told me just the other day your efforts in bringing attention to male recruitment and retention have been a driving force in some of that work. So thank you for the efforts that you and your team are doing. But I want to just make sure before we focus only on teachers having an opportunity to move ahead in the district and go into administration, that we need to make sure that we continue to have conversations about how to give teachers more opportunities for teacher leadership and keep them in the schoolhouse and in the classroom. And just last night, I met with a representative of Howard University about the possibility of starting a master's cohort that would be focused solely on teacher-level leadership, that would provide opportunities for teachers to grow and evolve in their profession without feeling that the only way to go forward is to join the administrative ranks. Not that there's anything wrong with administration, but we have over 9,000 teachers and we only have 200 principals. So we need to be realistic about those opportunities, and we need to channel that. I mean, part of what the Peer Assistance and Review Program is to give teachers an opportunity to be leaders, but still be tied to classrooms and the schoolhouse. And so, again, I just want to make sure that that we're broad in sort of how we're understanding it. And Bob may want. I see people lining up actually to help answer. So I'll.
So I have a team.
I'll stop now. Let some of Bob's other team help.
So we work collaboratively with the Office of Talent Development as it looks to leaders in the district, and Mr. Doug Anthony is willing to come and speak more about the process to become a leader. But we also are talking together about succession plans and what that is. So teachers will have opportunities other than just becoming an assistant principal or principal, because there's so many other valuable positions that our teachers need to help one another as they become master teachers. This year we were able to increase the number of mentors, and they came from the ranks of our teachers. So that's a part of succession planning, as well as you met the CTs in the PAR program. So we are trying to find more opportunities of that nature. And as far as men and what we did, we focus, we target them, so that as we go out in the various recruitment events, we see men, because you don't see that many. When you go to the various universities, you might go and see 25 people graduating in education and 2 men. So we really focus and try to get as many as we can as we go around the various recruitment events. But I'll let Mrs. Sullivan talk more about that. But I know my colleague back here, Mr. Anthony, wants to really talk more about the leadership opportunities. Doug?
Thanks, Bob. Good evening, board members. That's a great question. So a couple different things. So Bob's right, and we work obviously very collaboratively with Human Resources Division. And one of the things that we've had as a focus is to leverage a lot of the grants that we have in the district to focus on programs around giving leadership opportunities, a more global perspective around leadership. So we have a teacher leadership committee that you've helped support and participate in, that we're trying to reorganize and focus to support our work in developing multiple pathways. Because leadership isn't solely defined in the position of principal. And so we've been pretty strategic about looking at how to plan that out differently. In fact, we leveraged a new grant that we received from the Wiles Foundation, an addendum to the grant, to focus specifically on succession planning for leadership in the district. And so we're trying to develop an actual model that will help us build a very sustainable and systemic way that we help people find their pathways to leadership opportunities, with the focus of keeping really talented teachers like Ms. Williams in the classroom in different positions. So some of the early strategies that you see around our work with PDLTs, our work around with mentor teachers, the fact that we have CT nows, all these present different opportunities for teachers to be engaged with helping teachers talk about their craft in a different way. And so it's a very authentic, organic way for us to start building that capacity. We also do a lot of work with universities. We have about 5 specific university partners. So when you're thinking about those teachers who do want to take a move into administration, we have very unique relationships with McDaniel, Howard, University of Maryland, and other universities, Bowie State, that have a particular focus. So for instance, one of the things we're working with Bowie State is they have a pretty strong teacher leadership master's program. And so we have teachers who are in that program. McDaniel University, for instance, has a more global, traditional way of looking at administration. That's an example. Johns Hopkins actually has an urban you want me to stop? Okay, I'm taking, because I can go on for days, but I want you to know that the effort is, thank you, Dr. Eubanks. But I'll rest at this, that we have a succession planning approach that we're developing that we'll be happy to share once we have that completed, and we are working with our universities to continue to develop broader perspectives of leadership to keep our most talented folks in the buildings.
So in addition to that, we are focusing on retention. We will this year host several events for our current teachers. For example, on November 1st, we're hosting our first ever new teacher grade-in. We know that engaging our new hires help them understand what's available to them in Prince George's County Public Schools. So for example, on Saturday, November 1st, we have a great strategy to help them learn about the county. It's going to be hosted at the Mall of Prince George's. They'll go on a scavenger hunt. They'll bring their papers to grade and collect and just connect and collaborate with each other. But we'll also have veteran teachers there dispersed throughout the crowd, sharing all kinds of opportunities. We'll also host our second annual ESET 2 conference, which is empowering or celebrating, elevating effective teaching and teachers. We hosted the first one in 2013. We'll do that again this year. It's a conference for teachers by teachers. The best way for our current teachers to know how to move up and learn about what the opportunities are from other teachers, and collaboration between the Office of Employee Performance and Evaluation and Office of Talent Development. And to your question, Sir, Mr. Valentine, around how do we increase our number of male teachers, had a really simple strategy this past year. Almost every recruitment trip, we also had a male educator with us, and we had several male educators participate in our teacher ambassador program. So if we had a gentleman candidate, we had him also talk with another male. Our recruitment and retention team does a lot of research at the beginning of the recruitment season to understand who's in the pipeline and who's ready. And we really target those colleges and universities where we have male educators. Secondly, we're not ashamed. We go after great educators across the nation, no matter where they're teaching.
Thank you. And the Male Educator Network is, eager to continue to work
Correct.
with you. We believe also that having males on campus increase the chance that we recruit males, but also we're identifying alumni from schools. So having males from Bowie State go back to their college,
Correct. And that's
males
exactly
from
what
Morgan
we
State,
do.
from Howard. We're a little aggressive. We will walk with you to class to talk about the great things that are happening in our county. We want to be helpful. The last thing I would say is, we're really interested in a grow your own strategy. Obviously, Sierra is an example of that, but your ability to create and expand Future Teachers of America programs in schools, reaching down to even students as early as 9th grade, talk about the benefits of becoming a school teacher as they're choosing colleges to say, should I go to McDaniels, Bowie State, because they are the best school for teaching, and that we, as we at the Male Educator Network, are kind of reimaging what it means to be a school teacher, that when they see us with ties and sure think we're kind of uptight. But actually, on the weekends, we let our hair down, those of us who still have it, and are really just down-to-earth folks. So we're looking forward to continue to reimage what it means to be a teacher in Prince George's, to continue to recruit, and to, as well, create administrative policies that you all can implement that will allow for us to continue to grow our teacher corps, male and outside of that, and particularly some of our other groups. So thank you very much. I look forward to working with you all.
And we look forward to it also. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Ms. Taylor, Ms. Epps, and Ms. Eubanks still on round one, and these are really important topics. I don't want to give them short shrift. I would just say we as board members are on the clock, and you guys aren't, but just try to be a little succinct so that we can get moving. Mr. Taylor.
First, I would like to say thank you to all of the employees in the Human Resources Department, because essentially you are hiring and molding awesome teachers who are currently educating me as well as other students within Prince George's County, so thank you. One thing that was touched on during the presentation was a matching process that would essentially pair principals with new hires. Can you elaborate on the matching criteria and what exactly is the process of that?
I'll be succinct. Absolutely. So when a candidate applies, we do we assess the resume, and then we talk with the candidate to assess what skills and abilities and talents they have and what their interests are. We then look at what available positions we have and what the schools offer, and we go through a process to see where we can best fit the candidate. So if I'm a candidate that really has strength and desire to work in a high-need school with students that are underprivileged, then we make sure we match them up with those candidates. But our goal is really to share all the things that happen at all of our schools. But we know that listening to what principals want, because we spend a great deal of time doing that, and what candidates want, and then looking to match them up. We do a lot of work with our partners in the staffing unit to ensure that candidates get to the right schools.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Epps.
Thank you. I would just like to echo the hard work of the staff and the energy that you brought this evening. My goodness, so excited to hire. I had a question. Ms. Sullivan, you talked about the different types of new recruitment. I'm sorry. At least it's aerobic. You're getting some exercise. There we go.
Absolutely.
Because at Prince George's County Public Schools, we believe in exercise and
sure
taking
do.
care of yourself. So, but you talked about, the certain groups of teachers specific groups of teachers like STEM and men and the like. And so I was just wondering what the future plans are around hiring for International Baccalaureate, because that's definitely a priority that we've identified in this budget that we're implementing right now. The CEO has grown some programs, International Baccalaureate in the county, and so as we move forward, I just wanted you to expound on that, and if you can also expound on your efforts to hire for Montessori as well. Thank you.
Sure. So the recruitment team, along with staffing, partner and work closely with curriculum and instruction, secondary school reform, all of the academic programs to ensure that we know what the projected needs are for the school system. So if I work with Dr. Whitehead or some of her team and they say we need international baccalaureate teachers, our team, along with staffing, dig in and look for all of the possible portals where we can bring in staff to meet those needs. So we work on a projection basis. So we don't just go out and recruit. We bring candidates in, we source broadly, and we let talent, the curriculum and instruction supervisors, the content supervisors, and our teacher leaders do the screening so that we can make a best fit. That's the first thing. Our sourcing, we know that Dr. Maxwell has tons of expansion programs, and we make sure that we're looking forward at what the needs would be projected for SY16. In doing that, we're starting to reach out to Montessori programs now and offering early offer contracts to those candidates that we believe would be good fit. We connect them with the principals early so they can start making decisions around who they'd like to hire for the next school year. So we source broadly, and it's really driven by the programs and needs of the system.
And the other thing, and not to put a damper on any of this, I guess I'm just a little sensitive to or thinking about in the back of my mind. So again, the energy and the excitement of new recruitment and new hires. I guess I'm thinking about the seasoned invested employees who may not be who may not share the same energy at this stage in the game because they've been toiling for a very long time. They've stuck with us through very lean times. And, we're coming back slowly but surely. So I just wanted to hear about, what are the efforts to leave no staff left behind?
Correct. So I'll just use teachers as an example.
Never mind, don't use that. I'll take that back.
Well, I know Dr. Maxwell has had many conversations with Prince George's County Educators Association about building programs for our current staff to gain new skills, STEM certification, Montessori training. And so those are conversations we're having with Office of Talent Development to look at how we're building opportunities for current staff.
Okay, I guess I kind of wanted to hear from you that you were, that there was some type of, that started with some type of surveying or talking with the staff. So, and you're smiling because I think it's there, but I just kind of wanted to, get it in and get it on the record. So, because I think it is important that's great. Like, to have opportunities for me to retool. I'm, as a seasoned person to retool and to move forward. But I hope that as that's implemented or as those opportunities are brought forth, that it's coming from my innate desire to move into that area as opposed to, a box of like choose A, B, or C. And if my interests aren't there, well, but that's where the opportunity is, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that.
So you're correct. We have a couple of sources. We do focus groups, chat and choose, and so we hear from teachers what they're really interested in doing. We feed that information to the Office of Talent Development. We also collect data anytime someone resigns. It's an automatic process, so they fill out an exit survey. And we look at what are some of the reasons teachers are leaving. To that end, we take that information and try to inform all the programs that we would like to create that teachers say they're interested in. And 9 times out of 10, the programs are here. So we just have to do a much better job of communicating what the opportunities are. But as I said, we partner with Talent Development. We partner with the Office of Employee Performance to ensure that teacher opportunities are available and that they know. You're welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Eubanks?
My questions have already been asked. Thank you for all of the work you've done for making our HR great by choice. And we're on our way to greatness, and I thank you.
All right, colleagues, seeing no other folks wishing to speak, let me again thank you for this great presentation. And let's give them another round of applause, folks, for their great work. Now, of course, they're going to stay through all of the rest of this meeting, right? No.
They don't need to do that.
Go home to your families, folks. We'll be behind you as soon as we can. All right, thank you.
Bob, he said you could go home. He just told you.
Oh,
to
not
go
you,
home.
Bob. I don't even think about it. All right, folks, let's move on. We're to 6.0 under the agenda, the consent agenda. I will now yield the floor to Dr. Maxwell for an introduction of items 6.1 through 6.3.
Thank you, Dr. Eubanks. Items 6.1 through 6.3 require board approval of a lease agreement between Prince George's County Public Schools and Shepherd Pratt Health System Incorporated, their Forbush School, a memorandum of understanding with the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission for construction work at Accokeek Academy, and electrical service easement upgrades for improvements at the William Schmidt Center.
Thank you. Just a note, student member can't vote on item 6.1 due to budget implications, so I want to take that separately and entertain a motion to approve item 6.1 under the budget consent agenda. Someone can move it. It's okay. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Parker, please call the roll.
Thank you. Ms. Epps? Ms. Eubanks?
Aye.
Dr. Kaufman? Ms. Mundy? Mr. Valentine?
Aye.
Ms. Waller? Ms. Boston? Dr. Eubanks?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Carries. I will entertain a motion to approve items 6.2 and 6.3 under the budget, under the consent agenda. Thank you. May I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, why am I calling the roll on this? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? That motion carries. I don't have to do that when there's no budget, right? Okay. All right, I'm learning. It's take a couple of years. All right, we're on to item 7.0 under the budget consent agenda. Again, a reminder, student member cannot vote on the budget consent agenda. And I yield the floor to Dr. Maxwell for an introduction of item 7.1.
Thank you, Dr. Eubanks. Item 7.1 requires board approval for the November 2014 expenditure requirements.
Colleagues, may I have a motion to approve item 7.1 under the budget consent agenda? It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Park, will you call the roll?
Thank you. Ms. Epps? Ms. Eubanks?
Aye.
Dr. Kaufman? Ms. Mundy? Mr. Valentine?
Aye.
Ms. Waller? Ms. Boston?
Aye.
Dr. Eubanks?
Aye.
8.
That motion carries. Thank you. We're moving on to governance unfinished business second readers. We have one item, item 9.1. I yield the floor to Dr. Maxwell.
Thank you, Dr. Eubanks. Item 7.1 requires the board's requires the board approval for the fiscal year 2014 final operating budget transfer.
Folks, this is a second reader. May I have a motion to approve item 7.1 under second reader? It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, I see no discussion. Mrs. Parker, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Epps? Ms. Eubanks? Dr. Kaufman? Ms. Mundy? Mr. Valentine?
Aye.
Ms. Waller? Mr. Taylor? Ms. Boston?
Aye.
Okay, student
Oh, yeah,
member
strike-
can't
yeah,
vote.
strike
We're not
student
putting
member,
them.
yep.
I thought we were changing,
We tried to get it.
Scratch that. Ms. Boston?
Aye.
Dr. Eubanks?
Aye.
8.
Thank you.
You're
That
welcome.
motion carries. We're on to item 10.0 under new business first readers. There are 5 items, items 10.1 through 10.3, 10.5, and I yield the floor to Dr. Maxwell for an introduction.
Thank you, Dr. Eubanks. The first readers are on the agenda without a requirement for discussion. They include renewal of Imagine Lincoln Public Charter School, a request for renewal of the Excel Academy Public Charter School, a request for renewal of Imagine Foundation's Morningside Public Charter School, our legislative platform, and the 2015-16 school calendar.
All right, colleagues, may I have a motion to accept items 10.1 through 10.5? I see you. Let me get a motion. Been moved and seconded. Mr. Valentine.
Dr. Maxwell, just asked that we could have someone from the charter school office at the next board meeting before we vote on the, particularly the charter schools.
The charter school, our charter school office, just being clear
Yes.
who you want here.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
For the next meeting, for the second reader.
We'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, again, this is a first reader item, so it'll be back to us in a couple of weeks. I see no further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Folks, we're on to public comment for non-agenda items. Thank you, folks, for your patience. I should note that we tend to move this up in the agenda. We apologize we did not do that this evening. Our colleague who does that wasn't here today, and so it got past us, but we really appreciate your patience. Hopefully you have been patient, and some of you are still here. So we will start with public comment on non-agenda items. Our first speaker is Yolanda Anderson. Is Yolanda Anderson available? Is she here? Yolanda, okay. Our next speaker is Maureen Smith from Milestone Communications. Maureen Smith, come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Maureen Smith from Milestone Communications. Milestone values the partnership with Prince George's County Public Schools to site wireless broadband facilities on approved Board of Education properties. Together, we've worked to implement the program, which was envisioned to create a recurring revenue stream to help fund the education of Prince George's County students and bring access to technology not just to students, but also to citizens throughout Prince George's County. This program review began in 2010 and ultimately resulted in a master lease execution in 2011 and board policy approval in 2013. This program is similar to Milestone programs in the area, including Fairfax County, Anne Arundel, and Frederick County Public Schools, among others. Since February 2011, Milestone has been working to meet the customer-driven technology needs of wireless carriers with solutions via the placement of wireless facilities on viable BOE-owned properties. Currently, 9 sites are in the active development process. Milestone continues to consider open and transparent siting a cornerstone of its business model, not only in Prince George's County, but in all of the approximately 35 jurisdictions in which we implement such programs. Milestone's outreach program to inform citizens about proposed facilities continues to meet and exceed and surpass county requirements in keeping with the model of transparency. Milestone consistently mails notifications to far more addresses than required by the county process. We notify and continue open dialogue with homeowners associations, community leaders, civic organizations, elected officials, and municipalities within a 1-mile radius of the proposed sites. Milestone proactively schedules community meetings for each site and includes a date of each meeting in its notification letters. A dedicated website is also launched for each site at the start of the notification process, which provides information about the site itself, updates about our community meetings, other scheduled meetings, as well as useful links for research on RF radio frequency safety and the county's Tower Committee webpage link. In order to assure that school community is also notified and aware of our community meetings, Milestone works with school leadership to discuss and coordinate notification, which is usually done using one or more outreach tools such as backpack announcements, bilingual if necessary, school website posting, phone notification, school flyers, e-alerts, and most recently, direct mailing to the homes of all registered students in the school communities of Oxon Hill Middle School and Madison Middle School. Milestone is aware that concerns about radio frequency emissions have been raised at some recent meetings of the board and can appreciate that the community seeks to assure the safety of students, staff, and the public. Milestone is concerned about safety as well and is committed to safety and compliance of its facilities. Milestone could not sustain a viable business for 14 years if we did not conduct our business safely and in compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. We have an expert with us on this topic tonight. I thank you for the opportunity and look forward to work with the board and PGCPS to continue to enhance access to high-speed technology for Prince George's County. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Tony DiMattia. I hope I'm pronouncing that somewhere near correct.
Very good. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tony DiMattia. I have come here tonight at the request of Milestone Communications to discuss the effects of RF exposure and safety concerns from cell towers. I work for an independent company called SiteSafe. Our business model is to perform RF exposure studies on communication facilities located throughout the United States. We work for anyone with an interest in RF exposure, such as municipalities, school boards, landowners, and principally all of the major carriers, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile. I've worked for SiteSafe for over 10 years, where we have performed well over 50,000 RF exposure studies. Additionally, I've worked in the telecom industry for the last 30 years, designing and engineering microwave systems, cellular systems, et cetera, as well as doing construction management activities and deployment of systems. RF exposure from broadcast and land mobile communication facilities have been around for over 100 years. The Federal Communications Commission has been mandated by the Congress of the United States to regulate RF exposure from all broadcast and communications facilities. In developing the regulations, the FCC worked with various agencies and groups such as the FDA, OSHA, the National Institute of Health, the National Council on Radiation Protection, IEEE, and ANSI, just to name a few. These groups work both internally and with other countries to develop RF exposure regulations used today. The FCC reviewed all of these findings in the development of their RF exposure guidelines that we've implemented as of today. In addition to these standards, the FCC has implemented a 50-to-1 safety factor just to ensure public safety for all involved. Overall, the U.S. standards are slightly more restrictive than those promoted by the World Health Organization and by most other countries. The overriding factor in determining the amount of RF exposure a person is subjected to is the distance the person is from the radiating energy source. For a typical cell tower, where the antenna are located anywhere from 50 feet above ground to over 200 feet above the ground, the corresponding RF exposure at ground level is at least 1,000 times below the FCC limits for the general public. For a cell phone, the distance is very small and the exposure can be much higher, although well below the FCC limits. There have been over 1,000 studies performed over the past 30 to 50 years that have considered the effects of RF exposure on the human body. The FCC is continually reviewing the scientific evidence from these reports. The most recent review of these standards done by the UK, the Netherlands, and the EU all show current exposure limits are well within the protective health effects. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I should have mentioned, if you guys haven't already, to leave if you have copies of the remarks, to leave them for us for the record. That would be great. If you don't, that's fine too, but if you have them, that would be great. Our next speaker is Daniel Lee. Is Daniel Lee here?
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Daniel Lee, and I live in the city of Bowie, which is the site of a proposed cell tower at the Benjamin Tasker Middle School. I'm here to urge your approval of that tower and any other cell towers proposed on property you control in Prince George's County. I rely on my cell phone for everything from routine chit-chat to calling 911 in an emergency. Locating cell towers on school property is one way for government to ensure a robust system that everyone can rely on, no matter the reason it is used and wherever they are in Prince George's County. As a retired hospital administrator from a hospital in this county, I would never do anything that would risk the health and safety of our children. Life, however, is not without risks. We must balance the benefits and the risks in everything we do. I attended the community planning meeting that Milestone Communications conducted at Benjamin Tasker back in January, where they presented their proposal and described the types and amounts of radiation that come off of a cell tower. I am convinced that the risk with respect to the students is non-existent or infinitesimally small. Bottom line, please make your decisions based on science and not emotions and half-truths. I want to draw your attention by pointing out a cartoon that I saw in last week's Gazette Star. It depicts a couple getting ready to go out and giving instructions to a teenager who is holding a cell phone in his or her hand. The caption says, "Your mother and I are going to a protest against building cell towers on school grounds. Dinner is in the microwave, and call my cell if you need to." The important phrase here is call my cell if you need to. Obviously, these concerned parents feel a need to be available at all times and would probably be most upset if they or someone they cared about was at or near a school and their phone didn't work due to inadequate cell coverage. It's not logical for these protesters to expect reliable cell coverage while objecting at the same time to towers in their own neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those were all of our registered speakers, but you know, we have a great deal of respect and regard for our partnership with our elected officials, so I'd like to take this opportunity to invite Delegate Aisha Braveboy, who's here this evening, to address the board.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate all of the work of the school board. I'm a State Delegate Aisha Braveboy. I represent the 25th District in Prince George's County, and I'm here tonight to let you know that I attended a PTA meeting at Largo High School this past Tuesday. And I want to let you know that it's very important as parents, as communities, as alumni, that Largo gets the respect of having open dialogue about any decisions being made around the school. It's really important that communication flow, because there's misinformation, miscommunication, and I think maybe perhaps some concerns that may be able to be addressed, but that only happens through a dialogue and transparency. And so we look forward to having those types of communications with the school board. I can tell you that the parents and the alumni and others who are there and members of the community really desire for Largo to be a whole school with one principal and one purpose, and that's to educate every child, regardless of their race, their ethnicity, their nationality. It's really important to us that we embrace all students, but we embrace them holistically and we don't divide ourselves. And so we look forward to continue to have dialogue with you, and I thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. We appreciate that. That concludes our speakers for this evening. We have one more important agenda item. We are into item 12.0. We have an emergency item on today's agenda. Item 12.1 regarding the fiscal year 2015 first quarter financial review and transfer as of September 30, 2014. Now I'll yield the floor to Dr. Maxwell for an introduction.
Thank you, Dr. Eubanks. Item 12.1 requires the board approval for the fiscal year 2015 first quarter financial review and transfer as of September 30th, 2014.
Thank you, colleagues. May I have a motion to approve item 12.1 under emergency item? It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Could you please review for us just briefly the emergency nature of this item?
Mr. Brown can do that. I think it's a timing matter.
It's a timing matter in terms of the county council's meeting schedule, which is November 18th, and that's their only meeting for the remainder of this calendar year.
All right, great, thank you. Are there any other questions, or is there any other discussion? Great, seeing none. Now, Mrs. Parker, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Ms. Epps. Ms. Eubanks.
Aye.
Dr. Kaufman. Ms. Mundy. Mr. Valentine. Ms. Waller. Ms. Boston.
Aye.
Dr. Eubanks.
Aye.
8.
That motion carries. Thank you very much, Mrs. Parker. All right, folks, follow-up items for the October 9, 2014 board meeting will be posted in board docs upon receipt. Colleagues, may I please have a motion to approve actions taken in executive session on Thursday, October 23, 2014. It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education hereby approve actions taken in executive session on October 23, 2014, and are as follows: personnel appointments, personnel matters, student appeals, legal matters, and administrative matters. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries, ladies and gentlemen. I agree. Let's put our jackets on and get ready to get out of here. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have not finished the motion yet. Take it easy. All those in favor, please say aye. We are adjourned.
Scandal is already off. Y'all missed it. It's too late.